So we're on the Hangout on Air Live.
Welcome to Saturdays with Terah. I'm Mary Beth, and you are at the Law of Attraction Club on the web at theloaclub.com. If you're on the conference line and you have a question or a comment, remember to press *6. If you are on Hangout on Air, this is our introduction to usually the theme of the week, but next week we will not be having calls, so we will take this subject up again the following week. All of this is also being simulcast on our conference line. So we will continue with more on the conference line with questions and comments after this part of the call, and you're welcome to join us. Just call the number on your screen. So Robin will be bringing through Terah for us today. So welcome, Robin and Terah.
Welcome to you all. So let's explore a little here what dying really is. Because although many of you are beginning to understand who you are and how you create your destiny, what happens when you throw that switch and transition into a new realm often looms as a big mystery. Many of you have settled into the idea that the law of attraction is something that applies while you're alive, but that when you die, somehow you cease to be in charge. It is not so. The rules that apply now are the same rules that will apply then. They are eternal rules. They are the same rules for us as they are for you. So let's begin here with some different perspectives from our friends. From Bentinho Massaro. If you allow for the reality of being a larger being/consciousness, out of which your current physical experience has emerged as a temporary extension, like fingers are to a hand, to explore a certain theme, a certain angle of reality that needed exactly the combinations of qualities, skills, difficulties, circumstances, and body that you now seem to be or possess, it literally connects you to that deeper part of yourself, and it changes the fear of death. Bentinho is always a little cautious about suggesting what you might choose to believe, and he's right, of course. No choice is right or wrong. It just defines the nature of the game you are playing. But some of you desire to explore your options from a fundamental understanding of who you are. You want to know what the absolutes are beneath it all, independent of any chosen story. And that is the desire to which we are responding here as we do. And like Bentinho, we offer this understanding as an excellent path to truly knowing yourself and thereby knowing everything. From Abraham. We are very much wanting you to put this death thing in the proper perspective. You are all going to die, except there is no death. You're all going to make your transition into non-physical. It's time to stop making it sound like a subject that is uncomfortable and begin acknowledging that it's something that happens to everyone. This death thing is so misunderstood that you use it to torture yourself never-endingly and just absolutely unnecessarily. Death is a matter of closing one's eyes in this dimension and literally opening one's eyes in the other dimension. And that truly is how all death is. No matter how it looks, up to that point, re-emergence into source energy is always a delightful thing. And this one remains in deep appreciation of Abraham through Esther. In his world, they provided the first clear and comprehensive articulation of the law of attraction. With this topic of death, as they do with most subjects, they come at things from a very earth-centric perspective. And since most of you are also understandably coming at this very much from that same worldly perspective, their words are powerful and the message is clear. For those of you who wish to go even deeper, it is our particular intent to have you understand even more fully that dead or alive, the timeless rules that govern all of our existences in all of our different realms are exactly the same. So once again, let us start here with what you are not at choice about, the absolutes, and what you are, which is everything else. Absolute number one. You are a timeless, formless extension of, and an always connected part of, the collective consciousness that is all that is. Being engaged as you are in a space-time world with beginnings and ends to things, it may be difficult for you to get the true nature of your connectedness. But there is no boundary between you and any other part of all that is. And there is no hierarchy. You are not less than or more than any other part of that collective consciousness. You just are. Absolute number two. To the degree that you are individuated, you are defined by, created by, your choices. These choices result in experiences which lead to new desires and intentions, and so the cycle continues. With each new choice, you inhabit a new version of you, and by what you call the law of attraction, a matching, ever-present context projects itself around you. The succession of choices you have made has led you to where you find yourself now. You have created your own personal virtual reality of being a human physical form in a physical world. Everything about you in that world stems from your choices. You can recreate any of it at any time by making a new choice. Let's be clear there that those absolutes apply for all things at all times. Clearly, there are some differences between you and us. We have a non-physical perspective, and what we offer here in these intersections comes from having that different perspective. But the rules for us are the same as the rules for you. We are an individuated consciousness just as you are. We are created out of our intentions. We have attracted you into our context, even as you have attracted us into yours. We are not more elevated or divine than you are. We are all at choice in all things at all times. What we all choose determines what we expect. What we expect becomes our context. Can you see, therefore, that this whole cycle of life in which you find yourself is what you have chosen to believe in? You have decided that your story includes an aging process which inevitably leads to death. Now, once again, we are not trying to talk you out of your story. It is yours, and it is magnificent. And we are in deep appreciation of you who are out there, as we call it, playing on the leading edge of creation, experiencing things from this narrow and strongly focused perspective. But when you really get down to it, can you see that you only will die because you have chosen to believe that you will? You expect to die. So let us assume for the present here that you continue with that choice and you die. What happens next? Once again, can you see that the rules remain unchanged? The absolutes are still absolute, and what you experience will be what you expect to experience. You might say you don't have any expectations of death, but you do. You may have set very wide boundaries by leaving it much of it undecided. But many of you are expecting a dramatic change, and so there will be a dramatic change. At a minimum, you will have stepped outside of the focus of your space-time world. We have described it as a bit of a whoosh. Here's how our friend Bashar describes it. You are afraid in general of the idea of death because you think it's the end of your identity, but it's actually the expansion into more of yourself. You become more of who you are in death. Physical reality, in a sense, is more like death than death is, because you place so many limitations on yourself. Most individuals on your planet will experience it as if they are waking up from a dream. You wake up and suddenly remember who you are and that you're having this physical dream. The overwhelming feeling is that you're actually waking up into your true reality. And the idea of physical reality becomes, to some degree, a secondary concern that isn't real. The bottom line is your perspective will change. Your priorities will change. Things you used to see as important will potentially be replaced by new and even more engaging ideas. The virtual reality that was your world will not be in your face and holding your attention. It will be, as Bashar describes it, not as real as your new realm, and therefore less important. In fact, in a very real sense, it will no longer exist, although you may choose to rejoin it and continue creating it as your context. You might choose to merge with us and play from our perspective. As always, there is nothing you cannot be, do, or have, nothing you cannot change. You will be the one who continues to decide. Just remember that unless you choose to create the semblance of it, there is nothing fundamental that is bad or evil. There is no judgment and there is no purgatory. There is just you with a new perspective, making new choices. You can and will experience even more profoundly that you can step into a place of peace and power and fun and freedom. You will have instantly become more aware of the essential and timeless nature of who you are. And of course, we will be with you then as we are now. And, as always, we will be enjoying the dance. There is an enormous amount of love here for you.
This hangout on air was to introduce our theme of the week. Our longer discussion continues right now on our conference line. You're welcome to join us.